So the question is, when are the details being released for running a node, like a carrier node, right? That was the question.
Actually, the carrier source code is online on GitHub right now, but currently the reference design is on the Raspberry Pi. So on a Raspberry Pi, you put in a flash card, and so you got a cloud drive, a pseudo kind of a cloud drive, and we're working with some hardware vendors in like NAS, network access storage, and set-top boxes, and so have some real home storage. So the code should be there because we did a hackathon already. But just to my regret, there are not that many documentations, because that's why Tiran and some more partners can help, because like it or not, the first batch of programmers were from China, and they don't speak that much English. And yeah, that said, by the end of the year, we hope we have 40,000 nodes, peer-to-peer smart home nodes installed. Actually, currently we should have at least double that signed up. So I have my hope to achieve that goal. For the router, actually, I had a team building smart routers 3 years. I mean, started 5 years ago when Foxconn was my boss, was my investor. Because I proposed doing a secure smart home network. We did a smart router, which is somewhat a product quality reference design working, but currently we don't have a real router yet, because think back when I had a team doing smart routers, because it's more like three things in one. There's a router, there's a hard drive, then there's also a set-top box because of the ARM CPUs running web services, the native web services for surveillance cameras, for sensors, right? Three pieces in one. It's very hard to control the supply chain to make sure the cost down, because it's a very cost competitive area to make hardware. So I hesitate actually. We had a phone, real phone, reference design phone, beta quality, alpha to beta quality, running on an Android 5. It's a C++ version of Android phone. I had that in the lab, and people ask me whether we should build another phone. I know there are people proposing blockchain-based phones, and again, I'm not the person. I'm not a fortune teller, but since we have done something similar before, my personal gut feeling is not doing it. You're not going to beat Huawei or Xiaomi for that matter, right? So just keep it simple. That's why we just started by saying set-top box or NAS, because we don't want to mix the three things into one yet. Maybe someone want to do it. I'm not going to discourage, but personally, because we don't have a company, we don't have the resources to do hardware anymore. Well, actually, you're asking, can you trust? Because there's people asking about Bitmain is controlling Bitcoin blocks, Bitcoin blockchain, right? That's not really for me, because to judge either way. But if you believe that, again, this is more like a experiment, because a lot of people start to put more trust in, but there's still people suspicious or doubt about the neutrality of Bitcoin. But I first of all, I believe it. Secondly, I don't think they will have a better choice.
Anonymous, or is it like you have
Anonymous is it's quasi-anonymous, right? Because blockchains or transactions, which token going to where, actually can trace on the blockchain. That said, that's a 256-bit ID for your wallet, and can anybody revoke your wallet, right? And it's anywhere, because I was emphasizing the blockchain actually giving you a seemingly autonomous running feeling, right? It's not really autonomous, but it's just running by the miners. And based on that idea, can we make the peer-to-peer network, the smart home network, or you can say the internet actually is a decentralized packet switching. And on top of it, we have VoIP, VoIoTE, we have peer-to-peer telco-like network. So people are kind of, if you see telcos, they're kind of merging the two together, right? Telco networks actually as old as more than 100 years. The copper wire, literally that's physically connected, right? And now the reason why it's called a virtual circuit is virtually peer-to-peer and end-to-end. So putting the two together and giving it a seemingly autonomous running, no one can really turn it off. And you just believe it or not, right? Yeah. Any government want to turn it off, you can try.
For the merge mining, actually, you as long as you know how to mine the Bitcoin, actually it is the same. You don't have any additional machine. You don't have to upgrade your existing mining machine. You just add a new client on your a control machine. Then you actually, while you mine the Bitcoin, you can actually mine the ELA as well, but without any additional energy consumption. They actually, because we use the same hash, it's called merge mining, and you don't need to anything else. You can just get it as a bonus for free. The node will be currently the nodes we are testing internally. We did the open source, and once in December, once we go open source to the public, actually you can download the code. You can run it in your own mining machine. So right now we have just by invitation only. There are actually our partner is mining Bitcoin ELA right now in their own mining machine, but because we are in the testing period, so we just by invitation only. But after December, we actually open source everything. You can just download the code and run it in your own machine. It's two things actually. Two questions and two answers. The first is mining. The second, the peer-to-peer network is by carrier nodes. The carrier node is nothing to do with the mining. It's another concept. Like the carrier node could be like a virtual machine running in whatever, in your own router or in your phone, or maybe some virtual machine in Amazon. It is possible. As long as you run a carrier node, you could become one of the carrier. You can run it now. The carrier is ready. We released about 2 months ago, and we already had a hackathon on carrier. So you actually can go to GitHub to find the Elastos carrier repo and download code, run a node. We have a demo. We have a pretty good demo, and carrier actually help on that already. So yeah, you can answer.
So there's actually two kinds of nodes for Elastos. The first is the mining machine for where Bitcoin miners, all they do, right? All they do is update their mining software, and then come December they can start merge mining Bitcoin and then ELA at the same time without using any additional energy. That is a blockchain node. Whereas if you compare to our carrier node, which is our decentralized peer-to-peer network, where let's say for IPFS, we'll have these nodes to store the data, because the data itself is very decentralized. There is no there is no single central entity controlling anyone's data on Elastos. So those are two different kinds of nodes. So also wanted to talk about the inflation, how that works. There is a 4% inflation. Out of those 4%, 35% of them are actually rewarded to the Bitcoin merge miners, and then the 35% are rewarded to the carrier node miners who run super nodes and stuff like that. And 30%, the remaining 30%, is actually going back to the Cyber Republic to fund the development, the ecosystem development, and that's where the confusion is about. So just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, the carrier is ready. You can try it. You can easily make a small Telegram running in your own machine. That Telegram, if you try it, that is totally peer-to-peer, no server, no way to block it. The Telegram itself actually not very decentralized. It is blocked in China, but if you try the carrier Telegram, it is real Telegram.
Also, one thing I do want to add also is you're asking, how can someone get started actually getting these nodes up and running, right? The smart version of alpha version of the smart web is we're planning on getting that out by August. So then, all these we have carrier SDK, we have runtime. This month we're going to release the decentralized ID and main chain, side chain. All of that will be part of this single SDK, and then we'll have some sort of demo app running that's the alpha version of the smart web. We're going to show like how an Elastos dApp would be running when we do go live, which is going to be the end of the year. Right now, even if you can, run a local node, as part of your single carrier node, in order to actually get your applications out, it's in alpha version, so you can't really push it out to your consumers, at least at the moment. That needs to be out into the beta, and then eventually, we go live, and then applications can start getting rolled out to the public.
Yeah, because we have some internal discussions. The vision of Elastos actually is to do a decentralized smart web, where people also talk about you own your own data. So for the authors of games, videos, and ebooks, they own their own data. But that said, because we do have that virtual machine running, the virtual machine is open sourced. Well, the machine is running actually the virtual machine where it's launched in Europe, it's launched in Asia, or it's launched in North America. By what age group? Because some governments require, I know there's a need for anonymous or decentralized, but then there's also a requirement in some local governments, say if you want to put a so-called a micro website or website online, so you want to publish news or sports, anything, right? And you want to have a real name. So current thinking is the first version is very likely we work with partners of different locales, and also with different social networks. Like you log in, and as if you're launching this smart web, then ask you to log in. You can log in with WeChat login. You can log in with Facebook login. So where you get a Elastos login, like my login on Skype, for example, is chen.ron, CIGN.RNG. That's real my Skype ID. So my Telegram ID actually is @ and chenron 4 characters. If you want to find me, and use that ID to log in, then on Elastos, you get Chenron with the like Telegram logo or WeChat logo or Facebook logo. You know what I mean. So it's decentralized. So we plan to do something very much like email. So you could use Gmail, you could use Outlook, you could use iCloud Mail. Yet you can talk to one another. Correct. That's maybe the first way of domain names. And of course, because if you want to find out who is watching your video and where, which age group, which gender, that kind of marketing data, we're also talking to decentralized marketers. They may charge you some token. So that's kind of like an infrastructure, the web service, the network service, right? The computer services, which to sell ebooks, you can sell in your own token, your own fiat money. But for the system software, if you want to acquire like those marketing information, if you want to get, you want to be ranked on top of this search engine, where we are going to require you to pay ELA, because we consider that's part of the web app computer. That's the system services, right? Even though we work with partners, but then we require ELAs for searches, for marketing campaigns, for maybe our own domain names eventually, because we're not popular. When we have enough following audience, we may have Elastos ID and without those little icons of other social partners, social networks. So that's I'm not saying that's the final version, but we're speculating. We're talking about those ideas right now.
Actually, I was asked many times why or the token economy will grow, like why the price of Ella will grow. We can think this way. So the price of the token actually is a reflection of the whole economy size, right? So if the size of the economy is getting bigger and bigger, and the price will go higher and higher, just like if we measure a real country, like the currency, like European Union using Euro, US using USD, If the economy is growing, so the price could go up, right? But the inflation in the token itself is 4% only. So if the growth of the total assets in the ecosystem is higher than 4%, it will grow. It will go up, right? So you can see if more and more movie, more and more game, more and more digital assets or physical assets turn into the digital asset, turn into the Elastos ecosystem, the whole amount of the ecosystem will get higher, and you will believe it is much higher than 4%. So in that case, after the Elastos is running and we have a Cyber Republic running, we have a lot of partners like a big game join us. We create more and more digital assets into the whole economy. The price will obviously go higher and higher. So that's a whole way of thinking why you think the price will get higher, because economies get higher, bigger and bigger. More digital assets into it, of course, it will get higher and higher. That's the very basic idea of the token economy.
I can add in my 2 cents.
4 cents.
So I actually am the one who wrote that article and also made a video about it. So the way that I like to think about it is I actually have answered to some people on Reddit about this, so I'll just review that here. So usually when people think about let's say as an example Ethereum price going up or Neo whatever, they usually they're only talking about the as more applications are being built on top of Ethereum or Neo, they charge you gas fees. So because of that, more dApps equals higher price. So that's pretty much their entire. Well, I wouldn't say entire, but mostly that's the way that those tokenomics work in those systems. Elastos is not really a blockchain project. I try to say this so many times, but when you think about Elastos, it's an entire ecosystem. You can think of it as a virtual ecosystem, virtual country. So where everything is decentralized, the merge miners, the carrier nodes, even the website's data, all these movies and everything, all of them will require some sort of storage out there somewhere that is not controlled by any single entity. So those kind of things, in order to have this virtual country running autonomously for years and years and years, you need some way to reward those people who are actually renting out their own hardware to, for this IPFS storage, or to act as a relay node which is going to be used to stream music, movies. So because what Kevin was saying is, because there's always going to be this requirement to have these carrier nodes, because that is the very backbone of this decentralized peer-to-peer network. The more movies get into the system, obviously the more streaming is going to happen, the more download is going to happen. So the traffic is what is going to drive the adoption and the value of Ella. So that's actually my take. So there are side chains that will have their own smart contracts. They might charge their own gas fees, but that has nothing to do with Ella. But again, because the trust between all these side chains is actually tied to the Elastos main chain, so the more side chains are running, you'll be able to get all these side chains interacting with each other. Even if side chain 1 does not trust side chain 2, they are still trusting the main chain, and then through main chain they can establish trust between sort of this triangle kind of trust. So in that sense, you'll really have this interoperability that most of the applications are really lacking, and I think that's where we're going with Elastos. Yes.
As a decentralized system, it's no censorship because there's no center. No center is no censorship. So in this case, how we can doing censorship for example, it's a class. Different class of movie, they have to be controlled by the individual. For example, if you download the application, this application is for 18 years older or 13 years older or PG, whatever. So you need to verify, like Ron just mentioned, the decentralized DID system. Make sure you are older than 13 years old. You are actually older than 18 years old. So you actually can get a different version of the application. For the version for 18 years old older, you actually have no authorized to download it or to buy it, because you have to buy it from the decentralized marketplace.
And the marketplace knows your age.
That's from ID for KYC system. The KYC know your customer is part of the ID system. So if you make a movie, you really require that. You actually can, when you in the application, you will require the people to give you a certificate or signature of a KYC, prove I'm 18 years older. We are not going to do that, and technically we cannot. Like this way, we Ron invented Elastos, right? And just like Satoshi invent Bitcoin, but who knows who Satoshi is, and he's just disappeared, and nobody control that, and still going very well. After 10 years, still going very well. Ron invented, and we together we made it, but doesn't mean we're going to operate it, we're going to control it. We are not going to control it. Even for the token, we have almost half of the total ELA will go into the separate public, which we give the power to the citizen, not us. So we're not going to control that. Everything is maintained by the separate public. So if sometime we're going to change something, change any policy, it's not by my idea, not from Ron says here. It's idea of a separate public. So everybody have the right to vote. You can decide you want to go into censorship or not. But I believe since most people, they come here because of decentralization, so I believe people will choose to decentralize, not centralized. Okay, the first question is with the separate public, when they go start. Actually, it started already. We released the idea about last month in San Francisco first meetup. At that moment, we call it EBP, Elastos Bounty Program. But later we changed to, recently we changed the name to Cyber Republic because the name is much bigger, right? It's live already online, but currently we're just doing like some kind of open beta testing. If you today you go to www or even no www, cyberrepublic.org, you actually can see the website over there. But right now there are just a few tasks, tasks in the system because everyone is traveling all around the world. We just had the Asian tour, and also currently in Europe too. We don't have time to put a lot of tasks inside yet, but we will after we are back to US. We're going to run it officially. We put all the tasks, all the real tasks into it, and also how we're gonna run it is not something like a traditional company, like we have a boss here and they tell us what to do and we do it by we get a salary. No, that's not how we're gonna organize. So we organize by, you are a citizen of a separate public. You have responsibility to give us your idea. So that's why we're starting from proposal. So you have some idea to, for example, you want to make a next meetup here in Amsterdam. You tell us you want to do that, and you give us a proposal. So you want to do what you're going to do and how much cost you're going to cover for everything, and what is the expectation outcome from these events. Then you give us a proposal. We have a committee to just like to approve that, and after that we will send you some upfront cost, and you can start the events like this. Or you have the idea, so you can say, oh, we really need a better newer version of carrier. You have an idea, say the current version of carrier has some problem, some security hole or something. You have the bad idea. You tell us, oh, I want to have a newer version of a carrier to fix that problem, and I need how much ELA to do this, and you then hire some people to do that. Okay, give us your proposal, and we approve it, and you can start working on it. So you work for your own idea, not our idea. Everyone here in Cyber Republic, you have your own mind, you have your idea. You work for yourself, not us. Cyber Republic is organization of people. So if you have you create your own your own dApp, you just deploy, like once the Elastos is ready, you just deploy your own set chain, you deploy your own dApps, and as long as your dApp is can be compatible with Elastos, you can find a channel to distribute it. If you don't have, you just put into Cyber Republic to find people who can help you to distribute it, your app. So just consider this way. Cyber Republic is an economy. It's a virtual country. You will be one member of the country, and there will be other people also in this country. So you are looking for some people to give you kind of service, like distribution or helping to fix the bug. And other people you're going to pay other people, and other people also ask you to help him to do any kind of service. And by this kind of trading, you actually can either you or him earn the Ella as a just like a really a currency like euro. Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to add to that. So another way that you can think about it is this is, as Kevin mentioned, this is a virtual country. So you can have, let's say you are, a small team of really good developers who, who are really good at, building some large-scale applications, or someone that you can outsource it to. So you can actually have your idea into the Cyber Republic. You can hire other people that are also part of the Cyber Republic to help you with their idea, and then you, with your Ella, you can pay them. Or that's just one way, right? The other way is, let's say you have a really nice idea and the core technology that you're going to implement into your dApp. Let's say there's a way to put that into the core code of Elastos, right? And you will be able to propose such ideas where you develop this app, and then you write this amazing algorithm or something, and you would like to open source it to and then put it into Elastos, and then other people can actually vote and propose. That's just one of the other ideas. So it's really limited only by your imagination of what you can think of. That's just what I wanted to add.
First of all, I'm no expert in those exchanges. I've heard some names, and I also saw some community members keep on asking. Everyone knows what's happening in the recent days on the market. It's hard for us to right? Because first of all, going on to more exchanges, we are indeed signing up some exchanges because we released so-called SPV wallet, non-mining nodes, around June 10th, and we've been working with some partners to basically interact with their exchanges, right? And I've heard some of them are actually working and internally live, but it's not turned on to trade yet. As for when, it's hard for me to say. I personally feel that Huobi is a big exchange, and but then I'm aware of that. Basically, not allowed for, like, at least the U.S. citizens are not allowed to sign up, and Huobi Edge Hub will go live. Edge Bus. It's a HBUS, right? And HBus actually is a Huobi, it's a partner in the United States called HBus. It's going live July 6th. So I believe we're working closely with them to push real hard that ELA will be listed soon.
And also there is another reason we didn't actually going listed in some smaller, maybe some major and medium size of exchange, because the cost. So in my point of view, and not Elastos' point of view, my point of view, I would rather spend the money to the developers or the community member than spend a lot of money to the exchange. I can tell you it is pretty expensive. I really want to save the money to the developers and the community member who actually help us to build a real good product, instead of sending the money to those people I don't really know they can contribute or not. But they got rich, but you know what I mean, right? So that's my own opinion. So if I get a chance to choose, I will prefer we don't go there. We make a good product. As long as we have good product, I don't really worry about any those kind of so-called big exchange come to us to ask us to be listed. I will waiting for that day happen.
Also, when right now we're only selecting certain exchanges, working with certain exchanges because a lot of that is still in testing phase. But eventually, we're gonna make it public so that if you have, because there's been a lot of questions. Oh, when is there gonna be hardware wallet, and all of those questions. Once it goes live public, where anyone can utilize that, anyone is free to integrate Ella into their own wallet. Hardware wallet doesn't really matter what kind of wallet at that point, or exchange, because it's all the same. It will provide an easy integration. That is one of the only reasons why it's really tough for not just the engineers of those wallets and exchanges, but also right now, because a lot of that was tested internally. You would have to work with the Elastos core engineers to work with the exchange's wallet. So it's really they instead they had been focusing on other priorities. That was one of the reasons why that happened. But going forward, in the next month or so, when everything is public, then anyone is free to integrate Ella into their own wallet and go from there.
Yeah, that's why we only align the key partners at this moment. For example, believe it or not, Zapier is maybe not heard by you guys, but it's a national app in some countries like Cuba, like Myanmar. Actually, the installation base in those two countries are more than 95%. They're more popular than iPhone. iOS apps, they're more popular than Facebook. Because of those poor countries, there's only less than 1% of the population who has iPhones. So they use Zapier as their app store, to distribute games, to distribute movies. And so they have a big installation base in Southeast Asia, India, Latin America, and where the data bandwidth is expensive. We're working with them because they have more than 10 years of experiences, right? Working with customers, make sure the user experiences is fine-tuned. All we're doing is migrating 1% of their monthly users, daily users, onto the smart web, and then we incentivize them by tokens. We hope we can achieve the goal I just mentioned. Actually, that's me have a hope, but we are definitely working very, very hard on that. And to a smart web designer like me or Kevin, actually the user experiences, we rely heavily on our partners like Big Game and Zapier. Well, so a lot of people ask me similar questions. I think to us, people really should challenge me, and even challenge Kevin, challenge the team. Can we get this alpha versions of smart web done in time? Because the track record, we started this project. Elastos project, right, as a virtual machine, as a network OS, has been going on for 18 years. We are backing into drawing boards at least for the third time already. We started doing some kernel for the machine tools, and the second incarnation was doing smartphones. And there's another drive for under Foxconn's investment for smart homes. Now we are doing this Elastos Foundation for decentralized internet. And a lot of people blaming me on saying, Ron, what's going on for 18 years? Are you a big failure? Maybe I am, right? But then, on the other hand, ever since last August, we've been hitting the heartbeat, okay? But that time, I didn't know anything about the source code of, I know some concepts of Bitcoin, about blockchain. But we beat the clock saying we are going to release the Genesis block, have the heartbeat working in 4 months. We did it. And then we released the token sales. We hit the exchanges. We hit release the decentralized network. We hit the DID. You know what? The whole engineering team today, they're working from 9 to 11 in the evening. 9 in the morning, they work towards 11 in the evening. Where they are, they're in some kind of resort area, fancy hotel, concentrated. They're going nowhere. Facing the lake, you work your butt off. They are. Can we beat the deadline by December 31st? Can we have 40,000 nodes installed in homes? Can we have 400,000 users on top? People should really challenge us on that, and challenge everyone on that, right? And then we don't talk about prices.